even more ways. Introducing managing moderators. These users have the same capabilities as standard moderators, but in addition, they can manage blocked words and change chat modes in live. I feel like YouTube keeps trying to find ways to empower people who are outside of your channel more than the actual channel owner. It's kind of scary. It's starting to feel like what it is, which is some people turn this into a job. Well, what's up, you guys? I haven't streamed in forever. I think I've only streamed maybe 2 times this year. I was not planning on this at all, but I decided I would try it out because I wanted to see how well I can do, like how I feel while doing this. Because to me, streaming is a big burden because it's eating through the day, and you never know how long you're truly going to stay, who's going to show up, and what we're going to talk about. But anyway, uh, I just want to get comfortable with just doing this kind of format because I remember for a while I was doing this and I remember it being fun, but that was the mindset I had back in those days. Nowadays, especially with the way YouTube has changed, I feel a little bit discouraged. And there are some buttons that I dead ass don't understand. I have joined other people's streams and I see some symbols that I'm not even familiar with and I go like, who asked for that? So whatever. Anyways, as the title of the stream indicates, all I'm doing is I'm going to be scrolling through socials, the internet, YouTube, and any post that stands out. I will read it out and share my opinion. The first thing I'm seeing is the older I get, the more I realize being in a hurry is a terrible way to live your life. And I have to say, I agree with that. When you're in a hurry, your body physically changes. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure, of course, goes up. And those physiological changes have an effect on your mentality as well. When you are in a hurry, you're scrambling, you're performing risky maneuvers, say driving crazy or speed walking. You may run into somebody, you may knock something over, you may even hurt yourself because you're tripping on your own feet and stuff. I think living in a hurry is a testament to how we don't live balanced lives, and that's something I think we should change. This is the most Christmas ever. I have been hearing people express themselves about this holiday season, and I have to agree with them. With me personally, because of the emergency I experienced with my health back in the second week of November, I missed out on one week, which was the lead up to Thanksgiving. Because I missed out on that week, I have not configured my mind to be in holiday mode. And I keep thinking about how easy I felt these holidays were. And it got busy here and there, but it didn't get as busy as I customarily remember things getting. So when I read posts like this Christmas is not Christmasing, I sincerely don't care. I'm happy just the same because to me, the meaning of Christmas has evolved into it's just a move to capitalize off people, right? So if you were to ask me what was the time I felt Christmas had true Christmas spirit, I would have to say as a child, because I think the family members I was surrounded by played a big part in that. They would take the time to decorate the home, decorate it symbolically. Say, we actually had depictions of like Christian things, the birth of Jesus and stuff. We would mention that, we would describe that, we would also bring it up in school too. Like, I feel school was not as restrictive as it became as I got older. Say, by the time I reached middle school and high school, that was not happening at all. And I feel like you gotta be living in a community where you don't experience people objecting to sharing those kinds of things. Because for some reason, because of this country being separation of church and state, then it is a big taboo to have something religious being referenced in schools unless your school is a declared, legally dedicated Christian school. And I feel some of that is what creates this isolation from what the meaning of these holidays are supposed to be. I also observe on the calendar that we have things that I couldn't tell you what they are. I never officially learned what they are. I don't know what Hanukkah is. I don't know what Kwanzaa is, and many other things. And I feel like if I were to describe why I think I'm disconnected from the meaning of those things, is because it's not something I saw in school. If I didn't see it in school or hear about it in school, I pretty much missed out on it. And as an adult exploring that, sincerely, I could be doing better because now there's no excuse. I have that tool to research and look up that information. But because it's not something that I feel is going to add to my life, I don't feel that need to do so. If I ever get around to it, I may do a video on what I'm learning as I do that. But sincerely, you guys, I'm not sure. I can just describe what my origin with my ignorance at that is. And then when I see people at work, especially my coworkers, I feel it with them. We're just exhausted because we don't get to indulge in the holidays as retail workers normal, because you get bombarded by the things that we're selling, the food, the decor, the music, and that's happening for many hours in a day. So, in a sense, you're being served the holiday, but because you're doing it while you're at work and during the physical and mental stress of work, when you come home, the last thing you want to do is continue those stressors that put you in that situation in the first place. See what I mean? So for me, once I go to work, it's like that's my serving of what the holidays are. And outside of work, I happen to naturally be someone who doesn't participate in these things, it's easy for me to disconnect because I don't have kids, I don't have family that's invested in that. So I get to escape from it. And I feel like, as opposed to experiencing the stress on the double, which is at work and at home, I get to experience it just at work. And because, like I said, I got to skip the week of November leading up to Thanksgiving, I never activated my holiday mode fully. And now that it's the weekend before Christmas, I'm pretty indifferent. Like yesterday, I worked, and the day before, and the day before, and I'm like, this isn't bad at all. It was pretty quiet. And yesterday, for a Saturday, it it was pretty quiet. Like, sure, we had lines here and there, but it was not anything crazy, like people are shoulder to shoulder in the building. So, am I sad to hear people feeling that Christmas is not Christmasing and this is the most un-Christmas Christmas ever? No, that's what we created. We become oversaturated. And it's like what I have said before, don't let for things that are sacred to become commonplace, because this is what happened. This is what happens. It loses its magic. Breaking news: avoid cheap dopamine hit of announcing everything to people. Life is easier when no one knows nothing about you. This is especially true considering someone I know who I will share a story with you guys about that's going to affect me in the near future. This person operated completely under the radar, and when the news came out, people were freaking out. And I was telling this person that I appreciate them for granting me the privilege of being among the first people to find out of their intent, because since I've been aware of it, I was calm as people were freaking out, and it helped me see that side of people again that we don't get to see often, because changes like this don't happen often. But it serves as a reminder that, hey, everything is fine and dandy, everybody's happy, but once you start shaking the table a little bit, then you notice that they're not doing too well. Everyone at the store looks stressed. It's jarring because there's cheery Christmas music playing over the loudspeakers, but people look exhausted and not holly jolly in any way whatsoever. And this is true because I work retail, I get to witness this and interact with these folks. The most challenging thing I've had is because people are stressed out, it's as if they hear you without listening. Unless they get stimulated in the way that they're anticipating, in the way that they're expecting, in the way that they want, anything that derails that train of thought and represents a roadblock for them, they cannot handle it at all. Like yesterday, for instance, I was trying to communicate with someone how they were telling me that they're doing an exchange. An exchange is different from a return. An exchange means that you can bring your old item and replace it with a new item of equal or lesser value or greater value, and I might use the difference. If it's equal value, there is no difference, but if it's a greater item, then there will be a difference that you'll be responsible for. And if it's a value of less than the original, then you will receive something back. And that becomes my responsibility. Well, because this person walked up to me and said that they're performing an exchange, I was in exchange mode. So I was asking her, where is your original item? And then she was like, I'm just here to exchange this. And I'm like, I understand. What are we exchanging it for? And then she proceeds to look at her receipt and then show it to me. And I'm like, I don't think this is the correct receipt, ma'am, because the item, it only had like three items on the receipt. The item that she was showing me was not present in the receipt. So I was like, this receipt is not going to be useful at this time. Do you have another one? It just so happened that she also has a digital copy of the receipt of this item. So she shows me her phone and she encourages me to look for it myself. So I look at it and I see her phone and I'm like, Jesus Christ, how far back am I going to go in your shopping history? But it just so happened to be the first one. And it also helps that the item description was very easy to pick apart. It was easy to identify the item from what her display showed. But what was a little stressful for me is that after I found that, I said, all right, so I'm gonna wait for you to go get the item that you're looking for to exchange this with. And then she was like, this is the item that I brought back from home. And I'm like, right, so since we're performing an exchange, you need to grab the item you're exchanging for. And then she started to like melt down malfunction right in front of me. She was like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you want. Like something like that. Like the shaking, it was like her neurological pathway was being over fed electricity and she was like seizuring right in front of me, it seemed like. And I was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to process this as a return and I am going to give you your money back. I'm going to hold on to this item. And then whatever you wish to do with the money that you get back, that is at your discretion. And that's what I did. And then since she had some items in her cart, I was like, do you happen to be ready to check out as well? Because we can do that. And then she said, yes. But then I check her out. And then minutes after, I see her that she's still marching down the store shopping for some things. And then at that moment, I said, all right, I understand that there was a miscommunication there. And I understand that I could have handled it slightly better by simply offering her to give her money back. But again, the problem is that there is a difference between those terms. There's a difference between processing an exchange and processing a return. So when you walk up to me and you specifically dictate that you're performing an exchange, I am going to enter exchange mode because I wish to serve you with your request. But if I see you and you tell me that you're doing an exchange, but then I start processing it as a return and I give you the result of a return and you're not happy, it's still my fault. So it's one of those things where I will continue to try to meet them at their level, like wherever they're at, whatever intent you're expressing, that's where I'm going to meet you. But if you use the proper words and the proper words that you use align with your goal, you're going to have a smooth experience. But if you don't, then don't become frustrated by the roadblocks that you may encounter. But yes, people at the store are always looking stressed, especially when we start running low on product and they are like, when are you getting this back? Or sometimes we get phone calls of people asking, if I buy some perishable item today, is it going to be good until Christmas? Meaning they want me to find out the expiry on the product. And I'm like, yeah, like a lot of this stuff doesn't go bad for at least a month or two. And by going bad, I mean that it's the expiry date on the product. But usually, as long as you know how to store an item, it's not gonna go bad on you. Say, if you have something with milk in it, then make sure that you always seal it in a container that doesn't let air get into it. That way, mold cannot grow. Little details like that, you know? But sometimes I feel like people want to have the entirety of the work done for them, and that's not very realistic. If we run out of product, don't be upset. You know, it's that time of the year. You can anticipate that those things can happen. Missing one item, one ingredient, or one little something is not really going to throw off your holiday. Another thing someone gave me a hard time over it was, we can have decorative gift card bags, like a sleeve for you to slide gift cards into. Well, we happened to have run out of those. And I had two people, three people actually, give me a hard time about it. But the hardest time about it wasn't even directly at me, it was at someone who I was monitoring because they're a newer cashier. So I'm hanging out with them. And then this lady was like, do you have the little packet for that gift card to go inside of? And I say, nope, I just checked some 20 minutes ago and we're completely out. And she was like, how am I supposed to give this as a gift? And I was like, what you do is when you, I'd said this in my mind, you know, internal monologue, of course. I didn't say anything to her, but what I said in my mind was something like, what you do is when you see your loved one, you hand them the gift card, or you slide it inside a gift, or you slide it inside their stocking, whatever y'all do, or you hand it to them physically and you go like, I know that you like shopping here. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or I love you, my darling. I hope you enjoy it. What do you value more? The presentation externally or the content of it? I think your loved one cares more that the card is loaded more than they care about how the card arrives. If you were to print a digital gift card and you hand them that sheet of computer paper, I don't think they're going to refuse it if it's loaded monetarily. Now, another version of this I have witnessed is the line at the post office is pretty long these days, as you can expect. As a result, you get to listen to interactions for longer than you wish. And there's all kinds of people ahead of you, so everybody has a different transaction, a different story. People buying stamps, they always want to know about the holiday stamps, the seasonal stamps. And it's always old women doing this. They go, I want to see your holiday stamps. I saw one on some flyer or catalog or something somewhere that you have, I don't know, a reindeer stamp. I don't even know what stamps look like these days because I don't mail out envelopes, but they always want something Christmassy. And then if the clerk says that those ran out, that all they have is the regular one, it's, but I really wanted that cute reindeer one or this and that. And I'm like, I don't know who you're mailing to. Maybe you're mailing to someone who still values that tradition of back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever that was. People used to collect stamps I know that was a thing at some point. In modern days, if you're sending something out to younger people, I promise you they're not going to care. When I receive an envelope, I tear that mug through the middle, through that corner, maybe along the edge and the back. The last thing I notice is the stamp. I usually notice the name of the sender first. Are you a bill? Are you a letter? What are you? The stamp, I usually throw it away. I shouldn't say usually. I should say I always throw it away. So for me, it's odd to observe some people fixating on that little detail when that detail is not important because it's the superficial detail. I think that detail with depth is the content within the vessel that this content arrived in. The vessel is the envelope and the stamp. What's inside of it is what matters the most. Hopefully, you dedicated the most effort and detail into that content. That is what matters. And I understand that externally, it's okay to do a good job with what it looks like. Hopefully, your envelope is clean, it doesn't have holes, it doesn't have rips or tears. It's gonna get dirty during the postage process because there's dust and dirt everywhere. But I'm just saying that if you receive the news that something that you were expecting to get is not there, but something that operates to give you the same result is available, such as a stamp with a different design, just roll with it quietly. You are still fulfilling your goal of having this thing mailed out. Why would you make it difficult on yourself? For those reasons, I think is why we observe people who are stressed out at stores and stuff. This is the first holiday season I have really noticed everyone is very off. Driving today, I saw like 10 near misses. People were driving aggressively and stopping in the middle of the road. Everywhere you go, people are sick, struggling, and not thinking clearly. It is so sad. I can tell you that every single day that I drive, I notice someone running a red light, rolling stop signs, squeezing between each other, cutting other people off, not using a blinker, not any of that. And that is a testament to the stress that I just rambled about. Living stressed out makes you a different person. It makes you irrational. It makes you a risk, a danger, a menace to be around, share spaces with, share a road with, share a roof with. Monitor yourself. Monitor yourself. Let's see, what else have we going on here? You work 8 hours to live for 4. You work 8 hours to eat in 15 minutes. You work 5 days to enjoy 2. You work all year just to have 28 days off annual leave. And people still call this life? I'll die on this hill. 9 to 5 is a scam. You guys know my opinion about how I feel about the working hours and full time life and stuff. I've never been full time. And I've never been full time precisely because I wanted to have a sense of living balanced and healthy. And I'm glad to see that people are openly expressing themselves about this. And only the people who have endured it and they're in a later stage in life, I guess, resent the fact that we're trying to change it because they endured it. They want us to be miserable too. And I always thought that those who were here before you were sincerely hoping that your life turned out better than theirs. But now I feel like we're living in a time when they want to indulge in what was tragic for them, what was challenging for them, and as opposed to trying to help us and protect us from experiencing something like that, they want us to suffer just like they did so that we're even and balanced. And I think that is a very toxic trait. I think that you don't have to protect us from everything. I don't think that you should deprive us of the experience of building ourselves from the ground up because those things forge character. and forging character is very important. I am opposed, though, at you resenting that we are trying to make things better for us. If you broke down physically when you were young because you were overworking yourself, you shouldn't resent the fact that we're like, oh, shoot, people suffer from this. Let's make changes so that other people don't have to go through that, so that other people don't have to get knee replacements or hip replacements or shoulder surgeries and shit like that, or have foot problems, stuff like that. No, you want us to go through it because you went through it, and if we also inherit that curse of breaking ourselves physically, then it comes with the package. It doesn't have to come with the package. That's what we're saying. We're trying to draw the line at we don't want to pay with our health. But because that is the normality, the normalcy, what was normal for you to experience throughout your entire adult life, you're saying, this is the price. This is what you have to do. This is what it means to be an adult and grow up and mature and all that. And now we see these old people, a lot of them miserable, and we are trying to not inherit that misery, but we are experiencing the misery of old age when we're young because that is the pressure that we're feeling. And I don't think that's fair. And I too will die on that hill. Let's see. What is the most boomer complaint you have? When it's a free trial for a product, let it actually be a free trial. Don't force me to enter my credit card info so you hope I forget and take my money. That is so true. I never indulge in free trials for this reason. The only way I'll do it is if it lets me not punch in my credit card, but realistically, who does that? I don't think I've ever experienced that. I don't have a memory of doing a free trial of anything. So that means that in the future, should I genuinely have a need for something like, say, trying Prime or trying, is Netflix a free trial or those things, then I don't have to because, what can I say? If something compels me, I don't have to pay to access it because I will have access to the free trial. So I'm waiting for the thing that I feel is very life altering, life changing, very impressive for me to start indulging in those free trials. This has been the heaviest December ever. The energy is so dark and heavy. I agree. This December has been loaded with news about how the near future is going to change for me, specifically at work. But I also do agree that the energy has been off because I think we're still experiencing the aftermath of the people who were unemployed because of the government shutdown, not getting paid. And I feel like that caught up with a lot of people, and a lot of people had to make changes in a very short amount of time. And then with the holidays here, maybe people are valuing not partaking in the holidays because they have to reconstruct their lives after this disruption. I don't mind taking the longer route to avoid greeting, interacting with people. How antisocial are you? I have to say, this is something I exercise myself. I can agree with that 100%. And sincerely, there are people who I will go the shorter route to catch up to talk to, if we are very close and tight. But I'm not close and tight with the vast majority of people. So I do try to avoid greeting some people. And some of it is not even personal. Some of it is that you understand the risk that if you cross paths with this person and you are a little bit limited on time, this person may entertain you too long and then breaking away from them may be a little difficult. I understand. It's a little bit of a balance that you gotta live there. All Americans, every damn one of us, deserve to have the exact same health care that Congress has. Period. And I agree with that. I have been experiencing my little emergency going like, damn, it really sucks to go through something that you cannot have properly addressed because you don't have the resources to do so. And I guess I will update you guys at some point about where I'm at with my situation. America is in desperate need of leaders who actually care about the country and all of its people. We cannot continue promoting leaders who solely care about themselves, their egos, and their attention. Today, I just so happen to have edited a video that will publish maybe within 2 to 3 days, and it is entitled, I Indulge in My Cynicism. And some of it will sound like what I just read. And I think it's true. I don't think you just need good leaders in government. Of course, it is important to have leaders in government because government, the whole point of politics is to determine how the economy is going to go. It's about economics, it's about money. So, healthcare in this country is a controversial topic because it revolves around money. Healthcare is either tied to your employment or you have it if you have money. The tier of healthcare that you may have access to may differ. Some people may be able to afford the very most basic plan that pretty much covers nothing. Some people may have the golden, platinum level kinds that cover a lot or almost everything, but they still have some responsibilities. And this is a very oligarchical society because those people who shouldn't need to get the more premium healthcare because the premium healthcare is what covers the most since you're paying extra for it per month. I think it should be the people who cannot afford the premium healthcare should pay the lower rate, but the lower rate should cover more. And the more expensive rate shouldn't exist because we're all people. We all have bones, blood, nerves, skin, organs. Why would you create a different level of coverage? I think it should be you either have the health insurance or you don't. Not, oh, I have this kind of coverage or this other coverage. We also age at different rates. Just because my mom is in a certain decade, it doesn't mean that my decade that she just experienced is going to look the same. I can tell you that when I reach 50, my health is not going to resemble the health that my mom had. My mom was in great shape in her 50s, and her decline started somewhere in there. But I can tell you that at my current age, I'm definitely not as fit and healthy as my mom was. That is a sign of something. So I really think that it is important to put the right people in the right positions of power. Stop giving power to clowns. This goes at the job, this goes in government, and in your home. Don't let the manager of the home to be someone who's not capable. Don't let it be someone who doesn't know how to take charge and devote and dedicate and have organization and be responsible. The problem is, I find that the people we have in positions of power don't like accountability. You cannot be in a position of power if you're not able to take being held accountable. I used to tell myself maybe they're going through something, but I realized I was too and never treated anyone that way. And this one particularly pisses me off because over the years, this is something I have heard a lot, especially at work. You gotta understand where they're coming from. I'm like, what about me? If we can justify their behavior, you can justify me. But I am held at a different standard just because I'm punched in. No! And that is why we keep seeing videos of these people who literally treat workers like they own us because they know we're in a position where we need our jobs and we cannot defend ourselves from them like we're supposed to, like we should be. Get yourself a job where you have a manager who knows how to take care of you, who knows how to back you up, who knows how to protect you, and you can actually reason with them like a human being as opposed to them just exclusively being concerned about what numbers look like because it is a reflection on them. Find you a manager who's not afraid of looking bad. Those are the best managers. And those are the managers that really make changes happen. Significant changes happen. There is a reason you ain't ever used your phone in a dream. And this was pretty interesting to see because I can tell you I've never seen my phone in my dreams. Another thing I don't see in dreams is TVs. I've never seen a TV in a dream. This has to be the least merriest Christmas of all time. More posts about how lackluster this Christmas is. Let's see. Thoughts on healing that will have you looking like this. It's basically that meme of a bunch of knives pointing at your head. Nobody talks about the angry stage of healing, the rage you feel when you realize how much and how long you were taken advantage of, the absolute disgust you feel towards those people that misled you. It comes in waves. Sometimes you'll feel healed and then suddenly it hits you. I can tell you, I have experienced this at work. When there are changes that are super big, and it changes the mentality of management because management has to incorporate this and make it work and they have people to report to, their humanity gets lost sometimes. And I have experienced bad management to where they were trying to be emotionally manipulative, emotionally abusive, and you feel that anger because you feel that it's not right. The way that you're treated is not right. But the worst feeling is feeling like you're alone. But then the best feeling is when someone gets introduced to your team that helps heal that process. But that deepest sadness you may experience is that this person who deserves the energy and effort that you were putting into the bad manager doesn't get to inherit you at your best the way that the previous manager had you at your best. So I look at it as this new manager can look at it and not take it personal and invest in repairing you. And when they do that, even if they move on and they don't get to experience the shade and fruit of the tree that they have not planted because you were already there, but that they have trimmed the whatever you call necrosis branches on a tree, like you start to trim the bad limbs and stuff so that they can regrow and maybe if they were leaning over you can give it support even if it's artificial, like maybe you have to put some beam on it or something to help it from leaning over and falling over, whatever solution you have for that, because this tree, once it grows slanted like that, it won't straighten itself out. Once you give it the auxiliary tools, at least you did a good job. You did your part, which was, hey, this person did not get any worse under your watch. And I think that is a very good testament, is a good respectful, I guess, bond to establish. And you also test yourself at how good are you at mending a rupture. My rupture was already there when you met me, and that rupture had challenges that were exhibited during your time. What do you do with that fact to where you don't use that against me? And I can tell you that I have experienced that, and it really changes your perspective because what you learn in that setting, you can apply it everywhere else. I can apply it at home, I can apply it literally anywhere else I go. And if I hadn't learned it there, maybe I would have learned it somewhere else. And by extension, I would have been able to bring that influence into, in this case, the work setting. And yeah, the anger is totally justified because you didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. This, to sum it all up, I would say is a demonstration that the other person who put you in this situation and made you feel this way, they need to get work done. They need to get help. They have work to do. This is a demonstration of a lack of character on their part. Your job is to recognize where you can grow yourself because you too are a work in progress. But how do you move past this to where if you encounter something similar in the future, you react to it better, as opposed to you hinder yourself, you handicap yourself because you're still hauling this dead body on your back? And that is something that I can tell you I have experienced. Turns out you stop being crazy when the people who drove you crazy are no longer around. And this is true. You gotta learn to recognize that someone is no longer good for you, and you gotta physically remove yourself from them, and digitally as well, because unfortunately sometimes you may separate yourself from someone but their presence still lingers because there are so many ways to get in touch with you now because of social media. Don't fall for that trap. All right, you guys, I think I'm gonna end it here because I have to run a couple of errands that I need to get done by a certain time. Thanks so much for tuning in whenever you get around to tuning into this, and I'll see you next time.